Identity is flexible. You'll probably notice if you've watched some of my earlier videos from late last year, earlier this year, that I was heavier. I've actually lost over 40 pounds in about 6.5 months since December of last year. That couldn't have happened without shifting my internal state, without shifting my identity. The identity I had before really wasn't aligned with an abundant vibration, with a slim, fit, sculpted, lean body vibration. It was aligned with feeling deprived, feeling very much like life was happening to me rather than life was happening for me. I was very much in victim consciousness for years, up until more recently. In the last half year, I've been progressively coming out of a victim consciousness conditioning, which had a lot to do with my family structures, how I was brought up. My mom had a very heavy victim consciousness. She felt so much like a victim of life. She was a very disempowered woman and not a great role model for me. And my father was very stern and very strict, and he expected me to please him at all times. And that's what I had to learn to become a people pleaser, to be good for others, and to discount and diminish my own needs and desires, my authenticity, in order to survive his household as a child, because he was a perfectionist and he also had a narcissistic personality. So, because of that, I had to learn how to perform for him. And I also learned simultaneously for my mom how to be very meek. That actually anchored in the people pleaser personality even further, because I learned if I was very accommodating all the time and always sweet and playing this very good daughter girl role, then I could be liked enough and people would at least tolerate me and condone or support my survival by being so helpful for them and compulsively not shining my own light and discounting my own authentic desires and needs. So I lived in that kind of mental, emotional state for a long time. For the last decade, since my early 30s, I've been having these glimmers and these moments of slowly coming out of that and having moments where I would be more authentic for a while, but then circumstances would scare me and I would climb back into my old strong people pleasing patterns and hide my authenticity and dim and dull my own light for years, especially when the COVID-19 pandemic happened. I was in my mid 30s at the time, and I just didn't feel like I had any bandwidth, any capacity to shine my light bright or follow my authentic desires. I was very much in a transitional point then too, with finishing up graduate programs and with things being so uncertain in the world. It was a very hard time, not just for me, but for many other people. So I know probably quite a few of you who are watching can relate to having your own particular stresses and difficulties during that time. Those circumstances made me climb back into my familiar comfort zone, my shell even more, and stay longer than I might have otherwise in a predictable, familiar job, which I did stay in for years after that just because it didn't feel safe to try anything new. It's only been last year that I've started to feel safe enough in my body and in my life circumstances to let go of that old, comfortable, familiar job, which also wasn't that comfortable because I didn't love doing the job. I tried to do my best when I would do the job to be of service to those I was serving while doing that job, but it definitely wasn't my heart, passion, and calling. And I had at that point been doing it for almost 15 years. So I wasn't growing in that role anymore. It was really time to let it go. And I am in a much better, more supported situation now. And I've also was just ready as of last year, late last year, to start breaking free more and more. And I had been on the track of doing this for some years prior, but I think last year into early this year, and now even more so, there's been a stronger catapulting force, almost like a quantum force, but just a stronger force that has been driving me to shift and change and see how flexible identity really is. I dropped that weight in a relatively short amount of time. That really feels amazing. And I did it in a very healthy and aligned way with the support of a coach as well. I've been tracking my macros. I've been walking over 3 miles every single day since December. I've been making sure I drink enough water, not drinking much else besides water. I still have my occasional moments where I will have a sweet treat or a glass of wine or champagne, but it is quite rare. It's just on a special occasion. So I haven't fully given up a sweet indulgence or treat here and there, but it's not an everyday occurrence. And in the past, it was much more of a daily indulgence, especially because I was unhappy in other areas of my life. I used sweets and I would say movies and TV to dull the feelings of feeling so unfulfilled, unsatisfied, and also bored with my work life. It felt uninspiring to me. I was basically surviving and continuing to just do that trodden, secure route and path that's so expected of us oftentimes in society. And it certainly was the norm in my household growing up. That was what was expected, that I would get a respectable professional job, that I would follow a path that would make my parents proud. And it does feel quite freeing to release that only as of a few months ago. It's almost a little surreal, but I am in a position where, for the first time ever, able to let it go and move on. In part, that is because I have the support of my husband, but I'm also doing aligned work now, which feels really good. So letting go of old work that was misaligned. And again, it was still a beautiful service that I was providing when I was doing that work, but it wasn't for me ultimately. It probably was at one point early on when I was doing it, but after so many years and when you're not growing in a position anymore and you just know you're meant for something else, it is time to let that go, whether sooner or later. And I hope for most of you, it ends up being sooner rather than later. And you don't have to wait quite as long as I did. But I also understand if you're in a position where it just doesn't feel realistic right now. Nonetheless, I was able to, and I feel very blessed for that. But I've also been putting in the work. I've also been showing up differently. And that's helping me, in addition to having some support that I didn't have years ago. I also have been showing up in my own being differently too, which is another aspect that makes my body, mind, heart, soul being feel more safe and secure with this transformation, with this change. As you can see, I am also changing my appearance. Weight loss is one of those. Getting more muscular is another one. More sculpted, more lean. I work out 4 to 5 days a week. I'm at the gym for a couple hours on those days with a very focused plan. I'm also walking every single day of the week and tracking my macros, eating really clean, eating really healthy. And I've written out for myself on a checklist to do every day. But that checklist also helps keep me very organized and balanced and on point. That's another identity shift. I've always been a kind of a day planner person to a degree, but now I'm actually writing in things. I used to be all work things, all things I had to do or household things. Now I'm writing down sunbathe, go for a walk. Obviously, laundry is still in there. Some household things are in there. Video editing is another thing that's in there now that's very different, but sunbathing, going for a walk, going to the gym, do this workout this day. None of that was in my day planner a year ago. So it feels really good to have these healthy habits for myself in my day planner. Another one I have is meditate. I like to meditate. I don't do it every single day, but I do it about 4 to 5 days a week, a little bit more than every other day. I meditate. That is another beautiful gift that I'm giving to myself that helps me to ground myself and also helps me come out of this mental space of overdoing, because I am the kind of person who has a habit of, when I start to work at something, like I've been working at my fitness, I've been working on my YouTube videos with the intention to up-level them a bit, improve the lighting, improve the overall experience for the viewer, and making the thumbnails better. I'm taking more care with editing. In the past, I didn't usually put on makeup for the videos, so I'm taking care to present myself in a more abundant, high vibrational way that's more aligned with how I'm actually feeling now versus how I was feeling in the past. My default norm for recording videos in the past was just to show up and do them, and I would feel good about simply doing them without putting in that extra effort, thinking about the lighting. I think the sound was always okay, but the lighting was sometimes a little dark or there was too much of a glare on my glasses. That is still something I'm working with. I do have anti-reflective frames now. I have better glasses than I had before, but even still, I think there might still be a slight glare on my glasses, but I'm trying to angle the lighting a little better so there's less of a glare, hopefully, for you when you're watching. There's only so much I can do about glare on glasses. But in addition to that, lighting, better thumbnails, putting a little bit more thought and preparation into the content of each video, and also taking care to present myself in a way that feels aligned with who I am now, which I actually feel pretty abundant. I actually feel happy, beautiful every day. In the past, I didn't feel that beautiful. I actually felt frumpy and unattractive. And that was because I wasn't showing up for myself. It had more to do with the energy I was in than actually how I looked. But I also think the way I looked a year ago, 8 months ago, even 5 or 6 months ago, that was reflected in my internal identities. The external was reflecting the internal. The internal resistance to putting in a little bit of effort to making my hair look nice, putting a little curl in it, putting on some makeup, putting on a beautiful shirt that I love. Little things that actually make me feel more abundant, more beautiful, more high vibrational, that glow up feeling. I have entered my glow up era. I know that's a common thing on YouTube across the YouTube sphere. There is this glow up vibration and women talking about glow up. And some of us may judge it. I probably would have been one of those people who judged it for sure a few years ago. But I have to say, there is something to that. There is absolutely something to showing up for yourself with this higher energy because you're not showing up to show off. This isn't about showing off for me and maybe for some people. And that's not my place to judge if that's what it is for you or for somebody you know. But if you're showing up with the intention of taking care of yourself, your hair, your makeup, wearing clothes that you feel like your best self in, and you're doing that because you love it and it makes you feel good, and you notice that the interactions you have with people are different. They smile at you more, you smile at them, you walk taller, your posture's better, your shoulders are up, you just feel all around better because you put in that bit of effort. That is the glow up, in addition to taking care of yourself with food, eating well, eating clean, going to the gym, exercising, walking, sunbathing as well. All of those healthy habits contribute to you showing up as your best, most aligned self. And that is part of this flexible identity. Our identities are absolutely not set in stone. And if anything is proof of that, how I showed up last year in my early videos and earlier this year in a heavier body that just didn't feel ultimately like that was the body for me. I know I was settling for that body. I know that there was an internal identity, first and foremost, that was settling for that body. And that's why I had the body, because I wasn't putting in the reps. I wasn't fracking macros. I wasn't taking care of myself in the ways that I've been taking care of myself for the last 6.5 months. So these changes that I've been making consistently every day, sticking with it, rain or shine, that consistent showing up and being somebody different every day for the last almost 7 months now, showing up like that consistently for myself was what started this identity change and shift. And it's also what's led to me showing up like I am here today for you on YouTube in this more expanded way. My identity has expanded and it's starting to show The changes that started from the inside are now starting to reflect on the outside in a way that they didn't before when I was just starting. There's always a delay when we are working towards an identity shift. It's never an instantaneous process. You work out for one day, you eat healthy for one day or even a week. You're not going to see a huge transformation within a week, or especially not within one day. But if you keep up that healthy habit, ideally more than one healthy habit, and you keep that up for months and months, like I have been 7 months now, you will see that reflected from the inside out. Those shifts that started from the inside, that intention to first start shifting your identity and then to do the activities that are aligned with being this new identity. So, this is the be, do, have framework, which is how it really works in reality, not have, do, be, which is what a lot of us are operating from and wish it was, myself included. If I could just have the thing first, then do the activity. You want to have that thing first, but you don't get to have what you want first. You have to be in the energy. You have to shift your identity first. You have to change who you are. And there is always a delay in terms of how that manifests, how you end up seeing that in your life. There's always a time gap or a delay. And that's just how it works. That's how it has to work. It's never instantaneous. So, over the course of many months, I've been able to start being by first thinking in this new way. It was painful at first. There was a part of me, especially my old identity, it didn't want to do that. That wanted to sleep in. It didn't want to get up and walk every day. And I started walking in December. So it was like the coldest month of the year before Christmas. It was not a pleasant time to walk outside. And I always walk outside because I'm not a treadmill girl. So I had to bundle up. And I actually started with a lot of later in the day walks at that time. Now I'm a morning walker. But at the time, because my identity was still different. My walks were happening pretty late at night sometimes, but I made sure I got it in by the end of the day. Starting out, it was actually kind of painful in December and January, the coldest months of the year. It was a bit of a struggle, but I would not let myself stop. Every single day, I had to go for that walk 4 to 5 times a week. I had to go to the gym. I had to do my gym routine. And I started to increase that. I changed to a new coach in February and dialed that in a bit more and got more focused, which helped me to up level my fitness more and actually get the results that you're seeing now, being sculpted and lean and fit. And I think I've stated in a past video that I'm doing a competition next year, a bikini competition or a fit model competition. That's really exciting to have that goal to work towards, really starting to see myself as a bikini competitor, as someone who's very fit, who shows up for themselves, who works out 4 to 5 times a week, who walks every day, who tracks their macros. And as I kept doing that and I saw the weight just come off and off, it was like, wow, this consistency really works. This being a new identity really works. So I really had to be consistent with my doing. Those are the first two steps, both thinking differently, like, this is who I am now. I am a fit person. And this was before I had the results. I had to be thinking like that. I had to be telling myself that because otherwise I wouldn't keep going if I doubted myself. And of course, I had moments of feeling doubt, and we all have those moments early on in a process of an identity shift or growing into a bigger container of something that we really want. We're human. We're going to have those moments of feeling some doubt, of feeling some discouragement. And there were days too where my weight was kind of stagnating and I wasn't seeing a lot of progress, where I did feel a little discouraged, but I worked through it. And that can also happen if your body is retaining water and you're on your menstrual cycle as a woman. That's really common. So you have to be aware of that and give yourself some grace, which I ended up doing. But I was seeing that weight drop. I was seeing my muscles progressively start to show this more sculpted composition, this leaner physique start to show. I was dropping dress sizes, clothing sizes. It all felt amazing. And so that is the having now. So the be, do, have. I had to first, without seeing any results at all in the very beginning, that first month and a half, it was not easy. I wasn't seeing much in the way of weight loss, but it was a process and it wasn't that transformative in the first and second month. It started to pick up month 3, month 4 as I kept up these habits and up leveled with a new coach and shifted some things around and got more dialed in. But that first part, it was the roughest part. And it was also winter and it was cold. And I just could not let myself stop, even though I wasn't seeing those amazing results yet. And I didn't know when I would. And really, if I would, I had to trust the process and trust the timing, trust in God's divine timing versus my ego's hoped for and wished for timing, which I ended up doing and ended up having these results that I have now. I'm continuing to go with this. So this is not the end product, but it is a milestone because I have reached my personal goal weight. I haven't reached a competition goal weight quite yet, but I have reached my personal goal weight of 125 pounds, which feels amazing. For my height, that's a great, very lean, healthy weight. I'm about 5'5", 5'6", thereabouts. So I feel really good at this height and weight and with this new body composition. I did drop from a size 10 to a size 2, so significant drop in clothing sizes. And I feel like this is really me. The old me, that wasn't me. That was me settling for a life and an identity that just didn't feel aligned. It felt very much like settling. It seemed to be like the buildup, the residue of choosing not to show up for myself, of just going with the hackneyed path that was expected of me, that survival mode, heaviness. I definitely felt like the weight that I was at back in December, the 166 pounds, that was the accumulation of feeling very stressed for many years, of overeating, of indulging in a lot of sweets, of not taking care of my body, not exercising, of spending a lot of time watching TV and lounging. That was what I called my refuge to make up for how much I didn't love my life. I would try to make up for that with food and with movies and checking out of my life. That was keeping me very stagnant, very stuck in that old identity, that identity of settling, that identity of not taking a deeper look at my own life and my own goals, my own desires. I wasn't in any kind of purpose or in any kind of aligned place. It had to come from inside, a real desire to change, a real desire to grow into a bigger container, to not settle anymore for who I was, and to become somebody new that felt much more inspiring to me, that felt much more alive. I felt like I was half living before, like I was half dead, half living, just surviving. And if you're watching this channel right now, you probably have some sense of what I mean. I think a lot of us do that in this world to make it, to survive. That's been the predominant programming to just keep going the trodden path. There's a lot of heavy programming that encourages us to just survive, that encourages us to veg out with chips and sweets and pizza and watch whatever we want to watch on TV and scroll a lot on social media or play lots of video games, not be an engaged person in the world, basically continue to be a passive consumer of food and drinks and TV and video games and social media, but not actually check in with our deeper heart and our deeper soul and our greater wisdom inside about what we really want for our lives. Which, if we take that time to pause and be done with where we've been and who we've been, you kind of have to get to that point of just being fed up and like, I just don't want to settle anymore, almost disgusted with who you've been. And that's how it was for me. I was disgusted. I was like, I just don't want to be this anymore. This doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel aligned. And that's not a harsh judgment. I also accept who I was. And I give that part of me love that was ruling the show, this settling show, this survival show for a long time. I give that part of myself love, yet at the same time, just no, I'm just done. Not anymore. Something has to change. Something has to shift. And I'm starting to feel safe enough in my body, in my reality, in my body, mind, heart space to make a change and to make a big shift because that was not how I wanted to live I'm in my 40s right now. I'm 43. At the time that I made that change last year, I was 42, but I didn't want to spend the next 40, 50, 60, if I'm blessed enough to live 60 more years. I don't want to live the rest of my life this way, being this version of myself that I've been. I want to show up and make the rest of my life mean something amazing. And I want it to feel truly aligned. I want to have a beautiful impact on others. I want to show up and be of service, not in a way that feels forced by society, but in a way that feels like this is what I'm here to do. This is who I'm meant to be, and I am meant to shine my light brightly. And so that is who I am showing up as now. And it's starting to not only show in the way that I've been talking in this higher vibrational way to share insight, but also it's starting to show up in how I look, how I appear in the world. And I'm wanting to put in more effort into how I present myself because it feels good. And it's not to impress anybody. This is just for me. I do this because it makes me happy. And it also feels good to inspire others, to show others the potential that they have within themselves. We are all a reflection for each other. We are here to show up and shine our light bright and show the potential for others. You are able to shine your light bright. We all have a beautiful gift within us. We all have something that we're meant to do, something we're meant to share, some part of us that we're meant to shine and share with others and be of service. And the more that you claim that within yourself and you start to get clear on what that might be for you, whether you know what that is or not yet, and that's fine if you don't. It definitely took me a while to get clear on that. And this is obviously a big part of my purpose. There are some other things as well, but showing up on YouTube, having the courage to start a YouTube channel, which was the first step. And I started that last year with some bumps along the road, and I had to start by just showing up, not having the best lighting, not bothering with makeup, just showing up because that was all I could do at the time. So I am starting to take responsibility, little steps because I can't do it all at once, but learning from my husband who is more tech savvy, learning from fellow YouTubers about how to make your videos more intentional, better quality overall on many levels. There is certainly more to just showing up and recording to have a thoughtful, intentional, and eventually successful YouTube channel. But I'm doing it now, and there's no point in beating up on myself for how I was in the past. That was a past identity that I have grown out of. And I think there might be still little parts of it that I'm still growing out of, present tense, but a lot of that in the last week or two, I've just grown out of it. I am ready to show up in a different energy, in a different light. I'm ready to put in that extra time, that extra intention into looking my best for each video, fixing the lighting so it's optimized as best as it can. That is very much a part of my identity shift, as well as the fitness, the slimming down considerably, the showing up and actually bothering to put on makeup and do my hair. It feels so good to take the extra time to put a little curl in your hair, put on a little lip gloss, a little mascara. It can really change how you show up and feel when you are on YouTube, but also in your daily life. You don't have to be recording any videos. Just show up and take care of yourself, as that's a part of who you are, whether or not it's makeup or not. There are so many other ways, and it's been the other ways that have allowed me to grow into these additional expanded ways. I started with fitness. I started with eating better. I started with walking. I started with sunbathing. And it's only been recently that I felt like I think I want to take some time to do my hair nice and I want to put on a little makeup. And I've even gotten some new makeup products that I really like that are very clean and very intentional makeup products that I feel really good about. And I'm starting to use them. It feels so good to shift your identity, and you can have so much fun with it. Don't put a lot of stress on yourself. Don't make this a do or die kind of thing. Have fun with the process of leaning into a more flexible identity. Your identity is never set in stone. You have the ability to shift into the version of you that feels aligned with your soul, that feels truly meant for you, for your spirit. Who is it that you admire? That is a clue. If there's somebody out there or a number of people out there who are doing things in the world that you admire and are showing up in a way that you admire, that's a sign from your soul that you are meant to follow a similar path that they are. There was a person at my yoga studio that I had seen for a whole year before I had the courage to go up and talk to her. She's a bikini competitor and she's been doing it for about 6 years. But I just remember thinking, she looks so good. How does she look like that? I was intimidated by how amazing she looked. And I finally went up to her and gave her kudos, like, said, "You look so inspiring. What are you doing? How do you look this fit, this sculpted, this incredible?" And she told me that she had been doing bodybuilding now for 6 years and she's been competing. And she told me all about what she's been doing. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And I learned that that was possible for me too. And I said, I think I want to follow that path. I think I want to try. And she encouraged me to. And that was very inspiring and it opened up my mind. But if I hadn't seen her in person, like showing up at my yoga studio, I may have never thought about that or registered that as a possibility for myself. And it did take me some months to actually talk to her about it because I was intimidated and I didn't think that was possible for me. I did end up going up to her and it took shedding some more stuff and feeling like I'm tired of who I am, who I've been, and I was ready for a shift. And so I did have the courage to go up to her and find out all about what she was doing and her process and her journey. And that really lit a fire under me. And I'm like, I can do this too. And I did. I followed her advice and I got a coach, got another coach, and here I am on the journey doing it. I'm not ready to compete yet, but I'm getting closer and closer, and I'm not that far off. I could possibly do a competition at the end of this year if I wanted to, but I think I am going to wait till next year because I do have a lot on my plate right now. But I definitely have the intention of doing my first competition next year. And none of this would have been possible had I not felt so inspired by this person and had I not shifted my identity enough to believe it was possible for me and have the courage to go and talk to her about what she had been doing and what her process and her journey is like. That was the initial part, getting curious about what this inspiring person is doing. This person that you admire, that really inspires you. Find out about their journey, find out what they've been doing to be where they are. And there are also other YouTubers who've inspired me to go on YouTube and to share what I've been sharing on this channel now for the past 8 months. And I'm continuing to level up here. I'm continuing to rethink things and be like, I'm not going to settle for low budget looking videos anymore. I'm really glad that I had the courage to look at a shadow aspect of how I was showing up. And now I can transform that. I can up level it and I can do it with kindness. I don't have to beat myself up. It doesn't have to be like shame, 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 because I didn't show up in the perfect way from the very beginning. There is no perfect way, especially not in the very beginning. There's never a perfect way. Even if there was, it's never going to happen in the very beginning of starting something. So all we can do is recalibrate when we notice that we've been falling back or settling in an old identity of a certain momentum of doing something a certain way that's really familiar and we've gotten comfortable in that. The universe usually will nudge us or sometimes not so softly nudge us. It'll shake us up a bit, but something will come in to show you a shadow aspect that you've been resisting or ignoring or avoiding about this old identity, something that's getting ready to shift. And for me, definitely it was up leveling my channel. Also, another thing I had resisted was being on social media at all for the last decade. And I've started to do that for my fitness journey. I've been sharing that on Instagram, and it actually wasn't so scary to do that. And I'm actually enjoying doing that. And that was something I very much resisted before. Sharing anything about my life in any kind of public platform felt quite scary because I was too afraid of judgment. I was too afraid of what if someone doesn't like what I'm sharing? What if they judge me? Or what if they're jealous of me too and they attack me or something like that? We have no control of what other people do. But why hide and dim our light and choose to avoid or resist doing something that we actually want to do? Because we're afraid of what somebody else might think, how they might react. People are going to react how they react. Another aspect I had some resistance around was the technical aspects of that because I'm in my 40s. I grew up in a time where there wasn't any social media. Social media didn't come about until I was in my 20s, and it certainly didn't look like it looks now. If you have the intention to do something, but you have these blockages that are a part of your identity, like, it's holding you back from growing into a bigger container, into someone that you would feel more inspired by, someone that you would feel more proud of. And the same way that you've been inspired by certain people, there are also other people out there who are waiting to be inspired by you. And if you never grow into that greater container, that greater identity version of yourself, you're never going to have the opportunity to inspire them and share that gift, share that beautiful aligned service offering that you may have to offer them. I've started to align with the idea that it's actually kind of selfish to stay in this cloistered, I'm just going to stay resistant, small, settling identity. It's more abundant, and you're not depriving someone else of the gift of your light when you decide to get out there, expand your identity, see identity as a flexible playground instead of this very fixed little point of preservation and settling and doing all the familiar things. I feel grateful that I am no longer dimming my light so much, and that I'm able to share these beautiful gifts, these beautiful aligned insights with you. And I don't feel like I'm being selfish anymore by holding it all in, because I actually have a lot of beautiful words of wisdom and light to shine and to share with you. And I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to be vulnerable and put myself out there. And I hope you'll do the same in your own perfect timing, in your own perfect way. Everyone has a different path, a beautiful path that's just right for them, and a different mode. It's not going to be YouTube for most of you, probably, but you'll find what your particular gift that's waiting for you to share, what your particular aligned offering is in your own due course and time. But I would encourage you to explore that, to do some soul searching, to do some meditation, to go within and to see what are the parts of me that I'm most dissatisfied with, I feel that are most settling, that are most overly familiar, but now starting to become very uncomfortable because they're almost too comfortable, if that makes any sense. You're just tired of a certain way of being in the world that you know you've been acting and showing up as. You're tired of not taking better care of yourself. You're tired of settling for the body that you don't feel great in, or you're tired of settling for a relationship that feels misaligned, or you're settling in a job that you really don't care for, or you don't feel like this is really the way you're called to be of service, even if you are good at that job and you don't hate the job, but you don't love it either. There's more I could be doing with my life. This isn't the primary way I'm meant to be in the world and giving and sharing and being of service. But there's a deeper calling for you. I would encourage you to do some soul searching. Please like and subscribe. I want to wish you a peaceful and blessed day wherever you are in the world. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.